So this is part two of how to improve your work-life balance so that way you don't fall victim to burnout. If you didn't catch part one, I want you to go back right now and check out that episode because I dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of techniques, especially the time management portion. I really love that one because that one for me has personally been a game changer. Now, today I want to talk to you about the next step of exercises. And what I want to first start off is telling you a story that recently happened just 2 days ago. So after church, me and my wife and my son, we normally go home and we relax and we enjoy our day. But one of the members of our church actually had a game night that was scheduled, and they said, hey, come on and even bring your family with you. And normally for me, I use my Sundays to actually prepare for Monday and honestly for the rest of the week. And when you're an entrepreneur, but honestly, even if you're a working professional, you work long hours, you value and you know the time or the value of each hour of the day. Each hour of my day, it has a purpose. Even if I'm resting or taking lunch, it has a purpose and it's scheduled. So when someone asks me to hang out, normally the first thing that I think of is, how's this going to affect my work? But that day I said, you know what? I need to take time off for myself. Plus, hey, let's face it, having a game night is fun. So we decided to go, and man, we had an absolute blast. As a matter of fact, me and my wife, we later that day said, yo, that was really, really fun. And guess what, guys? That gave me the energy that I needed to conquer Monday, to conquer Tuesday, and even for the rest of that week. So what I'm trying to say is, guys, nurturing relationships. All right, that's the key. Nurturing relationships are big. If you think back to the first episode, and again, this is why you need to go back and watch it. I talked about an exercise called the eulogy. And the eulogy is great because it shows you exactly what you care about. And I know for a fact that work is not the only thing that you care about. Because if everybody came up to your eulogy and said, he was a hard worker, you would feel kind of empty. You want them to say other things about you, about the type of person you were, the type of friend, and all of these other things. So there's a couple ways that you can nurture your relationships. As I said, you have a game night, but let's get a little bit more specific. Start to plan where you're going to have quality time, literally in your phone. And the reason why we want to do that is because naturally, if you're a planner, you know how important your calendar is. And when you get those notifications, just like when you're at work and you're checking off the to-do list, this is something that we want to build into ourselves as well. Even for me, my haircuts are scheduled, my hanging out time with my friends is scheduled, like everything. And what I start to do now is I start to even incorporate hanging out with my friends, my wife, my son, all that stuff. It needs to be on the schedule. And if you have an Alexa or a Google Home, I would tell you to tell your Alexa to set the reminder for you. So that way you have two things working for you. So start to schedule. Be very intentional, guys, and start to schedule the time that you're going to spend with quality time with quality people. So that's number one. Second, this is something that you can do at work. I want you to start to text your loved ones when you're at your lunch break doing work, which makes your lunch break even that more important. Now, the reason why I want you to do this during that time, it goes back to this idea of what's called pre-max principle, meaning if you take a habit that you naturally do and you pair it with the habit that you struggle with, what's going to happen is the habit that you struggle with is going to increase in terms of it likely happening or the probability of it happening because you're doing it with a habit that has a high probability of happening already. We also could talk about something called habit stacking, where you stack a habit that you already do right on top of a habit that you're needing to do. Okay, and I want to say that again. I want to make sure I say it correctly. So if you take a habit that you already do on a consistent basis, so that may be something like brushing your teeth, and let's say you're trying to pair a new habit into your life, you should put that new habit right after the habit that you automatically do, so that way the first habit serves as a cue for the following habit. And this is called habit stacking. Okay, so that's something I really want you guys to do. And again, you can do that during lunch. That's something that I do, where during lunch I normally watch Undisputed, and it gives me the free time to text whoever I need, so that way they get a part of me, right? They know that I'm still thinking about them, and I'm still able to nurture those relationships. Also, if you work at a business or let's say an organization and you're in a building, that'd be a great time for you to actually network with some of your coworkers. Go and have lunch with some people in the other departments to let them know that you're with them, that you're on their team. Because what this is going to do is going to help you when you need to, let's say, get a favor for them. It'll make it likely that they're going to actually fulfill that favor because they know who you are and they feel that they can trust you. So these are some easy things that you can do. But then also something that I would love for you to do, and this is going to go into the next point, but I'll share it now. I want you to start to prioritize the work that you do at your job by doing the things that are fulfilling and meaningful, especially if it's allowing you to, let's say, work with other departments or people within your department that you really enjoy being with. That's something that can actually give you the energy that you need, because if you're just stuck doing mundane tasks or even tasks that are outside of your job description, your work life is going to start to feel a little less, let's just say, meaningful, if you will. So make sure you're doing purposeful, meaningful, high valued work at your job, and you're doing that with people that you definitely care about. All right, so this next point is all about self-care. And as I mentioned, the previous topic that I just mentioned, it kind of ties to it, where when you're practicing self-care, you can actually do this with the work that you're doing by prioritizing the work that you really care about. There's a reason why you're doing the job or the work that you do. And what I find to be true is that people find themselves doing, let's just say 90% of the stuff that they don't want to do, and only 10% of what it is that they love to do. And that's why I left the school system, because I was doing 90% paperwork and 10% working with the kids and the families. And that's something that I love to do. So I just needed to change that whole organization, the environment, the place that I was working at. And I just needed to start my own business so I can do more of what I wanted to do. So self-care comes in a myriad of different options. You have self-care for your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, psychological health, emotional, relational. There's so many different areas that you can actually find hundreds of techniques to use. And if you go to my website, and honestly, I'll probably put it up here too if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see all of these different techniques that you can use. One of my favorites is going for walks. And because I love going for walks, I also pair other things with it to make sure that I get the most out of it by listening to gospel music, right? And then to really rev it up, I'll go for a walk, listening to gospel music while eating fruits. All of those things gives me the energy that I need physically, mentally, and spiritually, okay? So definitely a lot of ways. What I would tell you to do, this is just a quick way. Just Google self-care wheel, okay? Google self-care wheel, and you'll see easily 100 techniques that you can use from that one image. So make sure you save that image as well. All right, number 4, this one I see a lot as well. And I see this with some of my high performers. But one thing that gets in the way of their work-life balance is that they feel guilty for taking time off that honestly they deserve. And even more truer, it's in their contracts, meaning you're guaranteed, you're given an hour of break time, whatever it is, right? And a lot of people feel that they're not good enough, or they're behind the 8 ball, or they're under so much pressure that they don't have time to take time off. And again, it goes back to this idea of sharpening the saw. If I take, let's just say, I do you one better. If I took 30 minutes to just relax, listening to whatever music I need to listen to, or call a friend, whatever it is that you do on your break, it will give you the energy to actually go back and finish the next 4 hours of your job just as fresh as you first came in. And that's why I said I can see 7 clients in a day and still feel fresh with that 7th client as I did with the first one. But it's because I take these breaks. You need to start to implement this in your workday, but you need to be confident in yourself and know that you are worthy of taking a break. And that's what it goes to as well. It goes to the idea of self-worth, knowing that, hey, this is something that I deserve and something that I worked for. And I need you to honor that by taking your break. So start off with just 15 minutes if you find yourself never taking breaks. And if you do take 15 minutes, increase it by 30. And let's see if we can get that full hour if you're given an hour with your break. And trust me when I say you'll be glad that you did. And when you come home, you'll feel different, and your family will be glad that you did, because they're getting this new type of energy from you, because you're not so drained from the workday from working 8 or 9 hours straight. So make sure that you're giving yourself that worthiness, you're giving yourself that belief, that confidence that you need to take a break. And sometimes you need to test things out before you feel it, meaning the confidence may not be there, the belief in yourself may be there. So as a result, we have to have faith in ourselves. And faith is faith is doing something, taking an action, even when we don't know the outcome. All right, that's what faith is. And then the last step, something that's going to really help you with the work-life balance, is having clarity. And this clarity can go in 2 different ways. So one is having clarity about your job description and what it is that you need to be doing that day. By cutting off all the excess fat, all the things that we shouldn't be doing, it alleviates the pressure and the time wasters from your schedule so that you can spend 100% of the time doing the things that give you the most leverage in your business. By doing that, you ensure that the time that you spend is in quadrant 2 and not in quadrant 1, 3, or 4. And again, you have to go to part 1 to understand what I mean by that. Now, that clarity can also go in another area, and that's in your personal life. Being able to realize at this time at 6:30 p.m. when I get home, what is the most important thing in my life at this time? Well, I think you may say family, right? Maybe it's friends if you're inviting some over. These are the things that you need to actually go back to work the next day at full throttle. So pour into yourself as you're pouring into other people, and you'll see a total shift in how you carry yourself during the day. And these are the tips that you need to have that work-life balance so that you don't find yourself burnt out, overworked, and overstressed. There's a lot more that I can go over, but take these 7 that I've given you from this episode and the previous episode, and you start to see a shift in your life. This is Coach Wells. I'm a therapist, and do me a big favor, subscribe to this channel so that way you can get more episodes just like this. All right, guys, I'll see you later.